Alrighty then, it's time for a Jungle Vi game, and this one will be covering the topic of momentum ganking. Which one? The thing is, I've never actually covered it. I've mostly mentioned it or referred to it, Bush too. And the Pantheon one, I was talking about, how Pantheon is a champion who just kills bitches. And I've mentioned it several times, but I never really went in depth with it. Momentum-based ganking is going to sound very similar to just regular ganking, but it has a different sort of principle. Ganking, you just try to kill people. Go to the lane, kill somebody, reap the rewards, hooray. Momentum-based ganking is kind of the same thing, but with a sort of different focus. With a lot of champions, sometimes you gank targets that seem like the most important to kill, right? Like if you see, a high threat target like Vayne, you make sure you bury her or something. But momentum-based ganking is a more selfish route, where you sort of just kill whoever you see has the best chance at getting murdered. Like in this situation, the only one I could possibly kill is Riven. And by the way, here in this tri-bush, she gives away that she has this warded. Look at her movements, and I'm moving around just to sort of gauge this. So then when I move to the river bush, and she backs off, completely 100% knew she had a ward. So I'm going to go to the Krugs and then sneak around in the side bushes to try to gank her that way. And the reason why I chose her as my target, she's super goddamn low health, and Rengar is so good at helping you kill people thanks to his snare. So I'm just waiting for the right opportunity, and here when she naturally sort of pushes the lane towards Rengar and she uses her hippity skippity moves, I will hit her with a full charged fist. Just charging it up. I'm just waiting for her to, go in, and then boom, full on full charged fist, and she gets killed rather easily. Anyways, momentum-based ganking is, just move about the map, killing people, go top lane, go mid lane, whatever. As soon as your cooldowns are out, you try to kill somebody. You try to sometimes even force it to sort of happen, using your teammates as bait a little. Here I missed my Q, it was long range, likely not to work, and unfortunately the Orianna dies, but thankfully I get the kill. At the same time, I make sure to steal all the farm. Because, again, momentum-based ganking pretty much requires you to be miles ahead of everybody else. With my ultimate enabled, that means I can kill a lot of characters a lot easier. Basically, no one can survive a Vi gank when she gets level 6 unless they have summoner spells or a lot of dashes. Anyways, Riven teleports in, and I know what she's exactly going to do. She's going to try to hippity-skippity jump on my teammate, so I fully charge my Q from the distance, so as soon as she gets close, boom, full fist to the face, altered, locked down. Shyvana gets a little too close, and then ends up stepping on a trap, Thresh catches her, and we deal a shitload of damage. Unfortunately, we're not able to kill her because of her exhaust, but fortunately for us, the Thresh is just on a fucking warpath, so he goes forward and grabs the Vayne, and the Caitlyn's able to snipe her from a distance with her Q. Maybe she could have survived if Janna had eaten the initial damage, but still, that's good for us, good for me especially, momentum-based ganking. I'll be building myself with a hybrid offensive-defensive items. I'm going for stuff like Jarum's Fist, Hex Drinker, and eventually to the Frozen Fist. Just basically being, the two gloves build that I talked about a little while back. Basically, I can't go full glass cannon because their champions are very dangerous. However, I can go, at least halfway. Anyways, here I missed my Q again, mostly because I was surprised that she managed to get a ward in that really weird angle. But still, fortunately for me, she's too fragile, too behind to actually do anything. And I just she blew her stuff on me, and then the Rengar was able just to show up and murder her ass. I just walked away, sort of. Anyways, my mid lane is having a lot of problems against the Ahri, and in situations where you'd be wanting to gank or where you'd be a ganker, you would be right. You would be thinking, I need to save this lane, but you got to remember, just because you want to save it, you could save the lane doesn't necessarily mean it's fruitful to you. In this case, though, it allows me to sort of triage the enemy, my teammate Orianna. What triage means is you don't share your buffs with them anymore because they've sort of just died nonstop. So at this moment, you sort of cut them off. You cut them out. You sort of say, you know what? If I give it to you, you're just gonna end up donating it to the enemy team. Anyways, I was gonna show up to try to kill the Shyvana. She backs away, so I just sort of try to catch her wherever she might be. Unfortunately, the Orianna isn't really paying too much attention to, the map, and she almost gets herself killed. She survives with a sliver of health, thankfully, but it's situations like that where I just pretty much decided not to give her anything. Anyways, the opportunity to gank the Vayne showed up, so I burned everything, my flash, my fully charged Q, my ultimate, just to nuke her ass down, and plus we also got Janna from that. Rengar is also bottom lane because he wanted to get an easy kill on those two at bottom, and we steal the red, and for whatever reason Shyvana, chances fate and gets herself killed, so we got ourselves a free kill against the Shyvana alongside the red, so that's pretty grim for the enemy team. Anyways, as you can sort of see in the whole momentum-based ganking, I've been showcasing it. Just show up to lane and don't waste any time to kill anybody. And the early one against the Riven did waste a little bit of time to sort of waiting for it to happen, but you couldn't have avoided that. You just had to let the minions sort of pass up and not spot you or anything. Nonetheless, though, for a lot of other junglers who can sort of do this, they have to have some sort of mobility or a very, very fast acting sort of CC. So there's not a lot of champions that can do momentum-based ganking at a super high level. You'd be surprised at some of the champions who could do it. Maokai is somebody, mostly because his snare and his Q are pretty much instantaneous and you can't really dodge his snare. So as soon as he clicks on somebody, they're going to get locked down. Hopefully your teammates can reciprocate with you, or else you won't be able to do anything with Maokai. Pantheon's one of the more obvious ones, just gank bitches forever, ult in and do stuff. Twisted Fate is technically someone who can do that, even though he's not really a jungler. And of course Vi, just to run that by you again, and momentum-based ganking is ganking done by champions that either have intensive levels of mobility, some form of gap closer that also doubles up as some sort of CC, a huge burst damage, and in general can keep this up for a long time. They basically have I would just call it lane-to-lane sustain, where you don't need to have the most mana or anything, but just enough for you to do your combo every time you show up to a lane or something, right? So yeah, it's pretty gruesome, and it's one good way to carry games. The unfortunate situation about that is just look at my kill spread. I have 6 kills on me, mostly because this kind of momentum-based ganking relies on you definitively killing people, otherwise you burn yourself out too much. You might end up taking a little bit too many kills. And by doing so, you just kind of you end up hogging the gold, and if the game ends up not just finishing quickly, that gold disparity amongst your team might affect you a little bit too much. Anyways, here, Thresh gets a hook on the Shyvana, I fight her a little bit, and I'm gonna get my ass killed unless I escape from her. So I flash over the wall, and as soon as Thresh hooks on the Riven, I decide to ult her so we can dunk her before she does any more combos, and then the Shyvana is just gonna die sort of just because she was the closest one to us. So we turned that fight rather around. It was a very loopy fight. They engaged on us when they tried to engage on my teammates. Thresh caught the Shyvana before she got to sort of nuke down the first teammate they caught, and then the reversal came by, and it was pretty sweet to look at, right? Anyways, yeah, momentum-based ganking, it's another one of those things I strongly recommend you sort of learn. There's control jungling, which sort of crushes the enemy jungler and breaks the enemy spirit, but momentum-based ganking just makes it so if you're an aggressive player, if you like someone who just wants to sort of win quick and crush people, and just sort of not have the most reliance on your teammates sort of being on the up and up, then momentum-based ganking is for you. Practice that. Just sort of learn the threads. One of the more important things that you're gonna have to learn is one aspect, sort of like control jungle. You're gonna have to learn how to read a lane, because if you show up to a lane and don't really have a chance to actually gank anyone, then you waste a lot of time. Momentum-based ganking is also incredibly risky as well. So it makes me a little bit iffy at even recommending it to lower division players, because fucking up just once can ruin the whole thing. Though in lower divisions, when I've played them in my other accounts, in my low-level accounts, it's done very well, mostly because players aren't able to really sort of keep up, and they mostly waste their time doing pretty much nothing. Momentum-based ganking sort of only really works if you're ahead of the opponents. So if your opponents are really bad at farming, they don't have any chance in hell of getting ahead of you. So by proxy, by default, you sort of just win anyways, right? So keep that in mind. Momentum-based ganking is likely not to really work against opponents who are paying attention, so to speak, or are naturally very good at farming and whatnot. Or it's better to say momentum-based ganking has a shorter gap at succeeding the more skilled your opponents get, because they're going to be more careful, they're going to be able to farm up, and even if you crush them, they have a good chance of bouncing back regardless. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Still though, again, I strongly recommend you learn it, because it opens up a whole nother branch of champions you can learn. While control jungling is based more around CC champions, utility and whatnot, momentum-based ganking is based more around champions that can just slap bitches, and that's all good and dandy. And again, it has also a more selfish build. You can see my build. Again, it's still like midway hybrid damage and tanky, but it at least allows me to want to be able to at least take care of problem champions. Even if I get absolutely butt fucked in a fight, or we lose mid game or late game or something, I'll be able to at least maybe dunk or assassinate one of their more vital targets, and hopefully we can recover from the game. Like right now, you can see my team fought a fight and we weren't really strong in that one. We were. I think it was my fault that I went overzealous against the first target, and we were in a bad position, so we were taking a lot of damage. Fortunately for us, the enemy Vayne is really, I gotta say that there was no real logic to this. I think she got too greedy and she ended up dying kind of like an idiot. But yeah. Anyways, my main goal now is to either pick off someone, like they're just a straggler, I'll kill them, finish them off, and that's it, or focus all my attention on Vayne. If Vayne dies, the rest of their team should kind of follow, because I have a feeling that Thresh should be able to control the really weak Riven, and the Shyvana shouldn't really be much of an issue. So at least that's my goal, my focus. I can't really ult Ahri anymore because she's about to get the Hourglass soon enough. I mean, I can ult her at this technically at this moment, but in the future, once she gets Hourglass, she becomes a really weak Vi target. Anyhow, at this point, momentum-based ganking isn't really relevant because now we're in the team fight phase. In the team fight phase, like I already sort of alluded to, a momentum-based ganker is hopefully someone who's already got in a lot of farm or a lot of murder gold that you can basically nuke somebody down, or in the case of some more tankier ones, survive the initial blow and sort of become this aggro magnet kind of champion. Anyways, we initiate on the Shyvana. We do a lot of damage to her, but unfortunately she's able to actually get away. We don't manage to nuke her down fast enough, and even though the enemy team was very far, because she survived long enough, they were able to sort of collapse on us. Fortunately for us, she just sort of sticks around and lets us sort of attack her again, and she dies. Unfortunately for us, our Rengar is in a really poor position, so he's not able to join the fight quickly, and the Riven sort of tears us to shreds. Rengar joins the fight. He manages to kill, I believe, just one target. Yeah, I think he ends up killing the Ahri, just Ahri. And then Riven loops around and finishes him off, so that's a pretty catastrophic fight for us. It's more of a... Again, we got a little overzealous. I don't think me picking the Shyvana as the first target was a bad idea, but continuing the chase was definitely a bad idea, so... Nonetheless, we're a little too far ahead anyways, so we're still not out of the run. Running. If we die like a couple more times, yeah. Either way, Orianna got an incredible ult on all four of them, and as a result, we were able just to choke slam all them bitches. You can see that was a pretty good angle for my E and a pretty good target for my ultimate. And also just kind of went through the Shyvana with my Q there. I'm going to assume just a little few pixels away from it. Either way, a massive turnaround. We are able to easily get Dragon, or at least I'm able to get Dragon because my teammates are pushing down mid. Thankfully, the enemy team is going to decide to kind of in vain defend this. My teammates are hanging around, and just watch this. For some reason, they clump up again. Riven goes in, Shyvana goes in as well, and or will go in a little bit sec. Just watch. Once again, Orianna gets a pretty goddamn good ultimate. Rengar jumps back in, tears the enemy Riven to shreds, and unfortunately, sort of gets himself killed. Thankfully, my Caitlyn is like miles and miles ahead, stronger than everybody else, so she just sort of tears the enemy team to shreds because they sort of just ignored her again. I joined the fray, but it's just at this point pointless. I was taking the dragon, and I was sort of stopping a bottom lane push, but at the same time I didn't think my teammates would get super aggro. Now, again, in a situation like this where the momentum-based ganking didn't sort of win the game early on, you just kind of have to become the aggro magnet. I've actually gone over aggro magnets in the past. You can look up the Echo game where I talk about aggro magnets. Basically, the gist of it is an aggro magnet is a champion who could kill the enemy target if you leave them alone. Like, there's no doubt about it. They will kill whoever they grab, but they might not kill them fast enough. It's just over time. But they alone probably can't kill them fast enough. Like, if I grab the enemy Ahri, she can't kill me. I won't kill her quickly, but she can't kill me. So eventually I'll kill her. So it's going to attract the enemy's focus onto me. So in a way, you still sort of work at a pseudo tank kind of thing. And that only really works if you were able to tailor your build early enough for that. Like you have some sort of steroids, sort of like Echo, or you just got super fed and you went some sort of hybrid build like I did, or you went full on tank like a Maokai did, or whatever. Anyways, as you can see, the game is pretty much over. The enemy team's lost their top tower. We got the Baron. They're really scattered up, and so we were able to just sort of pick them off. The RA, I smite stealer. I just had to do that. Smite steal on her, and then we just sort of push the next tower. So that's pretty much done. Hopefully, this sort of momentum-based ganking, you can't really be taught by vocalizing it. You sort of have to watch how it was done. So I hope this video sort of showcased you just how it works. And you can go back and watch the Pantheon video because that one shows you too. Hooray! This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet. I've also made a Patreon now, and if you wish to support me through that medium, then I welcome it.